And now we've come to, finally, not the last film overall, but the last film of the original series. The shitty Jason X. Yeah, I don't like this movie. I would say technically it is a worse movie than Jason X. But at least Jason is still the physical killer in this one. He's not shifting bodies. So I can give this that over Jason Goes to Hell, but not by fucking much. So because of Jason Goes to Hell, because of the ending, where Freddy's glove pulls his mask down to hell, fans have always had the idea that we're going to get a Freddy vs. Jason. And of course, as soon as that came out, that was New Line's plan. We got to do a Freddy vs. Jason. But, you know, I can't remember when it was first talked about, probably sometime in the 90s. But it was in development hell forever, ultimately 10 years. So then, you know, they thought maybe to generate some money and some fan interest, some fan service, let's just do another one for cheap. So that we can kind of, generate interest and also maybe make some money to put towards it. This movie made $17 million and nobody liked this movie. I mean, it did have its fan base. There were people that liked it because it's different. There were sci-fi fans that liked it. But overall, this is not one that people typically like. It's a little too sci-fi for me. I mean, I'm not a big fan of space movies and stuff like that. I mean, I like the first Alien. That's about it. I do like the second Alien, or Aliens, but I like the first one more. And the thing about space is, especially in movies like this, it's sort of the ass of the joke about how whenever a franchise sends their villain into space or the plot into space, it's because they've run out of ideas and they just want to keep it going. I mean, Jason, Pinhead, Hellraiser Bloodline, the fourth movie, opens and ends in space. Of course, that movie takes place over 3 different time periods. Fucking Leprechaun. If Leprechaun's gonna go to space, that should be the number one thing that tells you we're not going to space anymore. Hell, there's even an idea in the 90s, before Curse of Michael Myers, that they were gonna send Michael into space. But there was also a super soldier idea that was going to be directed by Tarantino, but just enough with the space. Also, the other reason why they sent it into space was because they wanted to set it into the way future. So when and if Freddy vs. Jason ever did come out, it wouldn't interfere with the series or any other film they were going to make. Which, hello, doesn't that kind of give away Freddy vs. Jason? Because the opening takes place in present time. The main events of the film takes place in 2455. So yeah, they set it way into the future so it couldn't, interfere with the series or Freddy vs. Jason. But if that's the case, wouldn't that spoil Freddy vs. Jason? I know it can't really spoil another entry because Jason lives anyway or gets revived. The back of this, I don't really know if he's undead or human in this. I mean, he kind of looks human. He even has a little bit of hair. But, he doesn't look like a zombie in this one. Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. It opens up at Crystal Lake Research Facility, which I'm starting to think, how many places does this lake have? Crystal Lake High, Crystal Lake Research Facility. Jason's been captured. They tried executing him several ways. The only way they could think of, to hold him off until they figure out what to do with him is to cryogenically freeze him. But then this other top guy comes along, played by David Cronenberg, because There's one guy in this movie, I can't remember his name, but he was in The Brood, he was in Scanners. He's a good friend of David Cronenberg's. He's in the movie. He's sort of like a guy that just lays down all the time and just talks to the teacher in the future about the past, tells him who Jason is. He agreed to do the movie as long as Cronenberg had a part. And Cronenberg would only do the movie if he could get killed. So he's saying we need to preserve Jason because I think he mentions something about Super Soldier. It's been a long time since I've seen this because I fucking don't like it. But he also says something about how his ability to regrow damaged cells could help out a lot of people in the medical field. So of course the main things go wrong. First of all, he's not really held captive. He's just suspended by chains in this big ass room, like Silence of the Lambs. One guy throws a blanket over him because he freaks him out. They go to check on him and he's under the blanket. Jason got out. He kills like 7 people in the opening scene, one of which he throws a sharp thing through David Cronenberg. So that was cool. I'm a Cronenberg fan. I mean, the master of body horror, like fucking Rabid, Shiver, Scanners, The Brood, The Fly, Videodrome. He now has one of them, the whole thing goes right through him. So the main actress leads him down to the cryogenic place, gets him in it, and then he has the strongest machete in the world, because she's standing like at the window saying something. He stabs through the door, through her. But then the building goes into like shutdown mode or self-destruct mode. So she's trapped in there. And then nobody checks on this building for 455 years. Earth has now been a deserted wasteland. Everyone lives on Earth 2. There's this class, this like college class. Researchers, they go to check shit out on Earth. They find Jason. They find her. They bring both of them back on the ship. They bring her back with nanotechnology, which looks kind of cool. I know that's sort of been talked about in real life science. Like that is a possibility someday. And it's just, there's no likable characters. And the dialogue and the acting is so fucking terrible. You have this guy with dreads who is just over the top stupid. I get he's a stoner, but he's over the top stupid. Like, when they find Jason, he's frozen. And when he falls, because he has the machete, he cuts his arm off. And they have this cool thing. It's like a patch that air seals it. They get back on the ship, and he's like, oh shit, forgot my arm. Then this slutty girl gives him his arm back, calls him a dumbass. He's like, his hand's like this, and he's like, oh, I missed you. It's over the top stupid. Yeah, you get the slutty girl who sleeps with the teacher who likes to wear lingerie for some reason. You get his nipple tweaked so she can improve her grade. Teacher talks to the guy from the Cronenberg films, tells him who Jason is. He's this legendary killer of Crystal Lake who killed all these people. Teacher thinks he can, sort of do this King Kong thing where he can exploit him for money. And Jason's sort of like in this one testing room. And I do like this shot. There's this couple who, shows foreplay and they're about to have sex. And as the foreplay and sex escalates, you see Jason wake up more and more. I would say that's a nice touch. It does play on the whole kids have sex. I'm going to awaken and go kill them. And then that woman that he's with in there. The most memorable death. The biggest one in the movie, which I think they actually tested on Mythbusters. There's a sink of liquid nitrogen. Sticks her head in it. And of course you get this great shot of in the sink with her head coming in. Instantly freezes. cool effect. Then he just takes her out and smashes her fucking face on the counter. That was a cool kill. A cool kill. I will give this that. But other than that, there's not much to it. I mean, it's just corny sci-fi stuff. The quality of the film looks like a direct-to-television, direct-to-cable sci-fi channel film, which sci-fi played the living shit out of it. You have this one girl, I can't remember her name. I really don't give a shit. This chick. She was in like Andromeda and a lot of other sci-fi stuff. She plays an android who wants to be a real girl. Real woman. Like there's even a part where the guy that made her, sort of takes care of her, is putting nipples on her. She doesn't have nipples and they like fall off. But they have sex. And then next time you see her, she's like this Resident Evil friggin' badass chick with guns and just blows Jason to bits. But of course, he's in like the nano room and the nanobots rebuild him. And you get Uber Jason. Now that's why it says evil gets an upgrade. But I mean, the android chick is... I even watched the making of on this. There's a decent documentary, The Many Lives of Jason Voorhees. So, and you know, it is a pretty in-depth documentary. It is pretty good. And then the making of Jason X, where she was pretty much said she's doing the Stepford Wives, like, yeah, how are you? Okay. Which I guess for playing an android, it makes sense, but it sounds like she's doing the Stepford Data. You know, friggin' Data from Next Generation. My girlfriend has a poster of him. That's like one of her favorite shows. She actually introduced me to Star Trek. So the next time I watch this with her, there's actually a line that is kind of funny. Where shit's going down. They're trying to find a way off the ship. Because they're trying to get to... They're in like a little ship. They're trying to get to the main ship that's going back to the planet. Something like that. So shit's going down. Jason's coming, and the girl from the past is like, can't we like beam up or something? And one of the guys, you know, from that time is just like, beam up? Like he's never heard. It's like Star Trek is long gone, and none of that shit ever really happened. But she's from that time, so it would make sense to her. I thought that was funny. You know, I got to give that credit. My girlfriend thought it was funny too. Just some of the deaths, pretty standard. I mean, there's one guy that gets like crushed, like his body gets crushed. There's this sort of bald, stone cold Steve Austin guy, whose name, if it's on here, I don't think it is. He's the effects artist. He gets his head bashed against the wall, and I guess Kane Hodder actually broke his nose. A lot of stabbing through people. Jason does rip a hole in the wall of the ship, and the slutty girl says, this sucks on so many, because she's like holding on to something, everything's getting sucked out into space, and she says, this sucks on so many levels, which a lot of critics use to talk about this movie. And she gets sucked through, and I mean, like, the opening is like small, and it's like gated, so it's all like sharp, and there's like bits of flesh hanging off of it, so you know she got chowdered up going through that. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool too. At least they did use some futuristic deaths. I can give it that also. But overall, this movie's just fucking terrible. Yeah, it just looks like a sci-fi channel movie. And yeah, again, they play it all the time, or at least they used to. There's nothing to it. Like, it was literally made so they could make some money and just pump out another film to keep fans happy until Freddy vs. Jason finally got made. All it was, and that's what it feels like, because there's really no creativity in it except for maybe some of the kills that I mentioned. They didn't give a fuck about a script or the acting because it's all corny and cheesy and bad and over the top. More so, like, you want to talk about bad acting in like the 80s Friday the 13th films? Watch those and then watch this. Those look like a Kevin Smith movie with authenticity compared to this. This is just bad. Bad. And yeah, I mean, the whole space and sci-fi setting really is not for me. But since Jason is the physical killer in this, I would have to say, excuse me, fucking hiccups, it is better than Jason Goes to Hell. If Jason Goes to Hell, he was the actual killer, same deaths and everything, just not going from body to body. Actually, it would be a lot higher in my ranking, but then this one would be the worst. Because other than that, that's really the only thing holding that movie back. I already did a big rant on that. Yeah, there was a lot of other stuff I don't like. This is just, yeah, like that girl says, sucks on so many levels. The director, Jim Isaac, did pass away a few years ago, which sucks. But, you know, it was produced by Sean S. Cunningham. Well, he was the executive producer. His son, Noel Cunningham, produced it. And this is New Line Cinema presents a Crystal Lake Entertainment production. Was this their first and last? Is there any other under Crystal Lake Entertainment? Or was it by Crystal Lake Studios on the same goddamn lake? Probably. But yeah, I can't go on much further about this movie. I don't remember much. I just remember it sucking so much ass. The look of Jason is alright. Like when he's human. I don't have a problem with that. Even the look of Uber Jason didn't bother me. Like it was kinda neat and cool looking. And then of course, at the end he's crashing through space with like the sergeant or whatever on top of him. And he lands on Earth too, right in a lake. And there's this couple and they're like, shooting star. Oh, it landed in the lake. Let's go check it out. So he landed in the lake. He's somewhat back home. Actually, no, the funniest part and what they do sort of take from Star Trek is there's a holodeck. They're trying to distract him so they can make a diversion to get to like a pod or something. So the guy creates Crystal Lake 1980. So Jason feels like he's back home. There's these two girls who are smoking pot. And like, you want to have premarital sex? And they get topless. They're giggling. Then the next time you see them, it's this. I remember I was in like, this was another one I didn't get for Christmas, but I bought that year. So I'm sitting in my room and I'm watching it. My dad comes in to tell me something, and it's just that topless, we love premarital sex. And I was like, what the hell are you watching? I was like, Jason X, it sucks. So we watched it for a couple minutes, and then next time they show Jason, he has one sleeping bag, maybe a reference to what they couldn't get away with in part 7. And he's just like bashing the other girl in the sleeping bag with the girl in this sleeping bag. And my dad thought it was the funniest thing. I thought it was hilarious. You just hear him go, ow, oh, ow. He's just beating them to death like that. So yeah, that's hilarious. Easily the most satisfying and entertaining of the series. Anthony Timpone, Fangoria. Now, if that's what I think it is, I've seen him on a lot of horror documentaries. And I can't believe he said that. Of the whole series, really. I mean, I can't fault him for his opinion, but this movie sucks fucking ass. I hate it. There's a reason why this movie gets forgotten. It kind of skips over, I don't know how many of them it skips over. I mean, it feels like they skip over all the undead movies, especially 8 and 9. But then when that guy in the Cronenberg movies is talking about him, says he's killed over 200 people. So, I mean, I have no idea. But yeah, this movie's terrible. Second worst one, next to Jason Goes to Hell, but not by much. fucking shitty ass movie. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep repeating myself and ranting about it, so it fucking sucks. Thank you.